Hey folks, Brian here. Today I want to give you an update on ponzi2, the stock chart viewer that I've been writing in Go. And I was going to show you some of the new features and also dive a little bit into the code, just a little bit, and explain a couple new Go concepts that I've learned. So on the left hand side, I've got the old crusty program, and on the right hand side, I've got the newer version with all the shiny new features. So one of the obvious things, well, maybe not so obvious because I kind of lied. This is not as old as the previous one I showed you, but it's got new price bars here. And I used to just have candlesticks, but as I explained before, after reading this book, which had an extensive section about price bars, I decided to try to practice reading those, and I added them to the program. But I still wanted to use my old candlesticks, so I added several buttons on the right hand upper area to toggle between the two. So now you can see I am in candlestick mode, but if I click on these three lines that look like three twigs, it'll switch to the price bar mode. And clicking on the rectangular ones, that they kind of look like kebabs, three kebabs, it'll switch to the candlesticks. Visually, you can see there were a couple changes, like these volume bars also became twigs, but here they were really densely packed, and your eyeballs would immediately go to the volume. But on the right one, now you can it's a little bit more balanced, I think. And there's some spacing between each of them, so it doesn't make your eyes bleed as much. Another thing I added was on the left hand side, if you look at the legend, I had simple moving averages for 20, 50, and 200. Now I switched that on the right hand side to exponential moving averages for 21, 50, and 200. And some of these ideas I got from investors.com. And my dad, he left me a whole ton of books by William O'Neill, who founded Investors Business Daily. I remember he had boxes full of the newspaper back in the day, but now it's all online, of course, well, mostly, and they use the 21 exponential moving averages. I think I sort of understand why exponential moving averages are used more. It was even described in this book as well. Because it weights the current prices more than the previous past prices. Why 21 over 20? I don't know. I don't have a good explanation, but it's used. And if everybody uses that, then that's what you've got to use to predict the crowd, right? Now another change I made, and I got from the investors.com based books, was to have a weekly chart. So if you move your mouse over the main chart window here and use the mouse wheel, you can go to a weekly chart, which obviously you can see covers a lot more months and years. And on Monday you could see there was a big price dip on the daily chart, which might freak you out and make you panic. But if you zoom out, step out, and look at the big picture, you can see it's not really going out of order like it seemed on the daily chart. So this is really useful for seeing a company's overall trend over time. So I also added that. Now if you change to the weekly chart and you also change to, say, candlesticks, and you close the program, when you restart the program, it does actually restore the settings now. Oops, and we've got a compiler error. But I know what I did wrong here. Give me a second. But what you're looking at in the editor is config.go. It's the file I used to load and save the settings. The internet's a little slow right now. But here you can see the program loaded back with the candlesticks and the weekly chart mode. And I'm saving all these settings in this Go struct type. And this is just regular Go code. And then I use the Gobs encoding package to save the file. And all I do is take the Go type and I call encode on it. And to load it, I just create a Gobs decoder and I call decode on it. It's very simple. And before I used to use protocol buffers, where you define a schema file in a protocol buffer file, ran the compiler on it to generate code, and then use that generated file in the code itself to load and decode. Well, they called it marshal and unmarshal. Here's the same principle, but I can just do that directly with the Go types here. So Gobs is a very interesting format. It actually puts all the types in the file and the descriptions of those types in the file, so that potentially someone could look at the file later, decode it, and put it in their own structs. But in protocol buffers, you need to have that schema defined, or you have no idea how to decode it. But anyway, I tried using Gobs because now I don't need the protocol buffer compiler. It should be easier for developers and hopefully easier to read and understand the code as well. And so for the next version, this is the old version. For the next version, I'm thinking about a couple of improvements. One, I'm planning to make the right-hand side the logarithmic scale so that the difference between 20 and 40 is the same as, 40 to 80, so that you don't get skewed by the nominal numbers instead, the linear scale instead. I tried to be fancy using the word nominal, but I think I failed. And anyway, I'll also add relative strength to also try to compare the stock against the broader market. And finally, maybe I might start adding some ways to add support and resistance lines as well. So thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.